Hello, friends. Hello, viewers. Hello, VOD watchers. Welcome to my stream. I messed around with the camera and now it's a bit weird. Oh no, it's fuzzy. The frame rate's shit. Why did I have to mess around with it? Why? It's darker, but a bit better. Anyway. Welcome to my stream. Thank you. This is one of my original ones I got. The same one that it's from the same group that I gave B her scarf from. God, I did a shit job of setting up stream today. Oh, other way. There we go. As you can probably tell, I don't have a fixed camera stand or anything like that. It's a dodgy job. It's my phone on a phone holder. Because honestly, your phone camera is the best webcam you're going to have in your house if you don't have a DSLR or whatever. So yes. News. Nothing much since yesterday. I have to take my dad to an early doctor's appointment tomorrow morning. That's fun. And I've been trying out it's called an oral irrigator. It's basically a thing that hooks up to your tap and goes and sprays your mouth with water. Because I used to have a water pick, but that broke. So I went online and bought a El Cheapo oral irrigator. It's pretty good. Just got to make sure you get the pressure right so you don't blast yourself. I've been looking for a way. I might see if there's like a little mechanical independent like flutter valve maybe. Because water picks have a pulse thing, which is just a little thing with a motor, just spins it around and interrupts the flow and makes the water pulse. And has a better cleaning effect. I was just thinking, what if I can put something on there on the pipe, that might make it do that. I don't know. Anyway, so yeah, that's my random spiel for the start of stream. How's everyone else doing? I'm a little bit nervous about Saturday because where I live is voting in a new state government. I'm hoping they vote in the old state government because doing pretty well at the moment, and I'm afraid the new one's going to mess it all up. You left the house for the first time since PAX? Really, Asker? Well, I'm glad that you got out and about. Sorry, I'm just thinking when was the last time I left the house? But it was Monday to go grocery shopping. Yeah. That's right, because I've been a little bit ill. Yes, so basically we've got a semi-conservative government at the moment that is spending mining royalties on good things for the people. And the ultra-conservative government wants to come in and basically cut the mining royalties for some insane reason, probably because they're funded by mining companies. And they want to cut all the government services and basically lock kids up and shit like that. So that's fun. And all the old folks are voting for him because they got fooled. Anyway, Pax Plague. Oh no, Askar. Yeah. Yeah, it's just that it's annoying because these guys, these ultra conservatives, always come in just as the economy's starting to tick up. And they swoop in and they're like, oh, look at this. The economy's better under us. I'm like, yes, of course it's better under you because the previous government did all the work. Anyway. So yes, that's my frustrations, which I probably shouldn't vent on an ASMR stream. But it's okay, because this is the start. I will cut this out of the YouTube video. Hey Snaps, how you doing? Glad to see you. I was just having a rant. Anyway. That's good. I'm a lot better than earlier in the week. Although my throat's a bit funny. But I think that's because I caught it with the oral irrigator that I use. What am I ranting about? Oh, just the upcoming state election where I am. It looks like the Conservative government's going to swoop in just as the state's starting to pick up. Oh, and also abortion's on the menu as well. So that's fun. So yeah. Anyway, we're reading Dracula tonight. Not ranting about politics, which is, you should go to Pixels Mixel if you want to rant about politics. Okay. So, yesterday. Yes. Yesterday, Van Helsing, Dr. Seward, and the American chap, Quincy somebody? I want to say Quincy Adams, but it wasn't Quincy Adams. Quincy Adams was a politician. Anyway, they sadly lost the fight for poor Lucy's life. And Lucy was acting mighty strange before she passed, like she was two different people. And her teeth were growing pointier, especially her canines. I wonder what that could mean. And at the end, Van Helsing, very mysteriously, well, I'll read the end of it. The end of the chapter was from Dr. Seward's werewolf. You know, it's funny, I don't think there are any werewolves in this book, but I think Dracula turns into a wolf. I stood beside Van Helsing and said, "Ah well, poor girl. There is peace for her at last. It is the end." He turned to me and said, with grave solemnity, "Not so, alas, not so. It is only the beginning." When I asked him what he meant, he only shook his head and answered, "We can do nothing as yet. Wait and see." So yes, that was the end of chapter 12. Van Helsing knows what's going on, but he doesn't want to reveal it to his friends yet. I wonder if the author reveals the reasons behind that. That wasn't the whole chapter. That was just the end of the chapter. I was just reiterating the critical bit of the end of the chapter. where Van Helsing says, "It's not the end, it's the beginning." And if I was Dr. Seward at this point, I'd be like, "God damn it, old man, just spill the beans." What the hell is going on? You clearly know what's going on. Tell me. God, why do old people have to be so frustrating? Anyway, the author has a subconscious bias against old people, I think, making them all frustrating. Okay, chapter 13. Dr. Seward's diary continued. So this is Dr. Seward. The funeral was arranged for the next succeeding day, so that Lucy and her mother might be buried together. I attended to all the ghastly formalities, and the urban undertaker proved that his staff was afflicted, or blessed, with something of his own obsequious suavity. Obsequious suavity. Even the woman who performed the last offices for the dead remarked to me, in a confidential brother professional way, when she had come out from the death chamber, "She makes a very beautiful corpse, sir. It's quite a privilege to attend on her. It's not too much to say that she will do credit to our establishment." I noticed that Van Helsing never kept far away. This was possible from the disordered state of things in the household. There were no relatives at hand, and as Arthur had to be back the next day to attend at his father's funeral, we were unable to notify anyone who should have been bidden. Under the circumstances, Van Helsing and I took it upon ourselves to examine the papers, etc. He insisted upon looking over Lucy's papers himself. I asked him why, for I feared that he, being a foreigner, might not be quite aware of English legal requirements, and so might, in ignorance, make some unnecessary trouble. He answered me, I know. You forget that I am a lawyer as well as a doctor. But this is not altogether for the law. You knew that when you avoided the coroner. I have more than him to avoid. There may be papers more, such as this." As he spoke, he took from his pocket-book the memorandum which had been in Lucy's breast, and which she had torn in her sleep. "When you find anything of the solicitor who is for the late Mrs. Westenra, seal all her papers and write him tonight. For me, I watch here, in the room, and in Miss Lucy's old room all night, and I myself search for what may be. It is not well that her very thoughts go into the hands of strangers." I went on with my part of the work, and in another half-hour had found the name and address of Mrs. Westenra's solicitor, and had written to him. All the poor lady's papers were in order. Explicit directions regarding the place of burial were given. I had hardly sealed the letter when, to my surprise, Van Helsing walked into the room, saying, "Can I help you, friend John? I am free, and if I may, my service is to you." "Have you got what you looked for?" I asked. To which he replied, I did not look for any specific thing. I only hoped to find, and find I have, all that there was, only some letters and a few memoranda, and a new diary begun. But I have them here, and we shall, for the present, say nothing of them. I shall see that poor lad tomorrow evening, and, with his sanction, I shall use some. He's being mysterious again. When we had finished the work in hand, he said to me, "And now, friend John, I think we may go to bed. We want to sleep, both you and I, and rest to recuperate. Tomorrow we shall have much to do, but for tonight there is no need of us, alas." Before turning in, we went to look at poor Lucy. The undertaker had certainly done his work well, for the room was turned into a small chapelle ardente. A small chapelle ardente. It escapes me what ardente means right now. Anyway, there was a wilderness of beautiful white flowers, and death was made as little repulsive as might be. The end of the winding sheet was laid over the face. Al dente is undercooked pasta. Ardente, ardente, dente. Just the image of the Undertaker leaving a pot of like plain undercooked pasta next to the body. It's just hilarious. Don't be sorry, Snaps, that's funny. Undercooked, oh no, oh no. Don't be sorry, that was funny. Oh, yeah, just some undercooked pasta for the mourners to snack on while they're viewing poor Lucy. When the professor bent over and turned it gently back, we both started at the beauty before us. The tall wax candles showed a sufficient light to note it well. All Lucy's loveliness had come back to her in death, and the hours that had passed, instead of leaving traces of decay's effacing fingers, had but restored the beauty of life, till positively I could not believe my eyes that I was looking at a corpse. The professor looked sternly grave. Oh, by the way, thank you for the follow, friendo. The professor looked sternly grave. He had not loved her as I had, and there was no need for tears in his eyes. He said to me, "Remain till I return," and left the room. He came back with a handful of wild garlic from the box waiting in the hall, but which had not been opened, and placed the flowers amongst the others on and around the bed. Then he took from his neck, inside his collar, a little gold crucifix, and placed it over the mouth. He restored the sheet to its place, and we came away. I was undressing in my own room when, with a premonitory tap at the door, he entered and at once began to speak. "Tomorrow I want you to bring me, before night, a set of post-mortem knives." "Must we make an autopsy?" I asked. "Yes, And no, I want to operate, but not what you think. Let me tell you now, but not a word to another. I want to cut off her head and take out her heart. Ah, you a surgeon, and so shocked. You, whom I have seen with no tremble of hand or heart, do operations of life and death that make the rest shudder. Oh, but I must not forget, my dear friend John, that you loved her, and I have not forgotten it, for is I that shall operate, and you must not help. I would like to do it tonight, but for Arthur I must not. He will be free after his father's funeral tomorrow, and he will want to see her, to see it. Then, when she is coffined ready for the next day, you and I shall come when all asleep. We shall unscrew the coffin lid and shall do our operation, and then replace all so that none know save we alone. But why do it at all? The girl is dead. Why mutilate her poor body without need? And if there is no necessity for a post-mortem and nothing to gain by it, no good to her, to us, to science, to human knowledge, why do it? Without such, it is monstrous. For answer, he put his hand on my shoulder and said, with infinite tenderness, Friend John, I pity your poor bleeding heart, and I love you the more because it does so bleed. If I could, I would take on myself the burden that you bear. But there are things that you know not, and that you shall know, and bless me for knowing, though they are not pleasant things. John, my child, you have been my friend now many years, and yet did you ever know me to do any without good cause? I may err, but I am but man, but I believe in all I do. Was it not for these causes that you sent for me when the great trouble came? Yes. Were you not amazed, nay, horrified, when I would not let Arthur kiss his love, though she was dying, and snatched him away by all my strength? Yes, and yet you saw how she thanked me, with her so beautiful dying eyes, her voice too so weak, and she kissed my rough old hand and blessed me? Yes. And did you not hear me swear promise to her, that so she closed her eyes grateful? Yes. My God, it's like reading for Yoda. Yes. Well, I have good reason now for all I want to do. You have, for many years, trust me. You have believed me weeks past, when there be things so strange that you might have well doubt. Believe me yet a little, friend John. If you trust me not, then I must tell you what I think, and that is not perhaps well. And if I work, as work I shall, no matter trust or no trust, without my friend trust in me, I work with heavy heart, and feel oh so lonely, when I want all help and courage that may be. He paused a moment, and went on solemnly. Friend John, there are strange and terrible days before us. Let us not be two, but one, that so we work to a good end. Will you not have faith in me? I took his hand and promised him. I held my door open as he went away, and watched him go into his room and close the door. As I stood without moving, I saw one of the maids pass silently along the passage. She had her back to me, so did not see me, and go into the room where Lucy lay. The sight touched me. Devotion is so rare, and we are so grateful to those who show it unasked to those we love. Here was a poor girl putting aside the terrors which she naturally had of death, to go watch alone by the bier of the mistress whom she loved. B-I-E-R. Bier. So that the poor clay might not be lonely till laid to eternal rest. I must have slept long and soundly, for it was broad daylight when Van Helsing waked me by coming into my room. He came over to my bedside and said, "You need not trouble about the knives. We shall not do it." "Why not?" I asked, for his solemnity of the night before had greatly impressed me. "Because," he said sternly, "it is too late, or too early. See?" Here he held up the little golden crucifix. "This was stolen in the night." "How stolen?" I asked in wonder, "since you have it now." "Because I get it back from the worthless wretch who stole it, from the woman who robbed the dead and the living. Her punishment will surely come, but not through me. She knew not altogether what she did, and thus unknowing, she only stole. Now we must wait." He went away on the word, leaving me with a new mystery to think of, a new puzzle to grapple with. Oh my God, Van Helsing, just spill the beans. The forenoon was a dreary time, but at noon the solicitor came, Mr. Marquand, of Holman, Sons, Marquand and Lidderdale. So English. He was very genial and very appreciative of what we had done, and took off our hands all cares as to the details. During lunch he told us that Mrs. Westenra had for some time unexpected sudden death from her heart. During lunch he told us that Mrs. Westenra had for some time expected sudden death from her heart, and had put her affairs in absolute order. He informed us that, with the exception of a certain entailed property of Lucy's father, which now, in default of direct issue, went back to a distant branch of the family, the whole estate, real and personal, was left absolutely to Arthur Holmwood. When he had told us so much, he went on. Frankly, we did our best to prevent such a testamentary disposition, and pointed out certain contingencies that might leave her daughter either penniless or not so free as she should be to act regarding a matrimonial alliance. Indeed, we pressed the matter so far that we almost came into collision, for she asked us if we were or were not prepared to carry out her wishes. Of course, we had then no alternative but to accept. We were right in principle, and 99 times out of 100 we should have proved by logic of events the accuracy of our judgment. Frankly, however, I must admit that in this case, any other form of disposition would have rendered impossible the carrying out of her wishes. For by her predeceasing her daughter, the latter would have come into possession of the property, and even had she only survived her mother by 5 minutes, her property would, in case there was no will, and a will was a practical impossibility in such a case, have been treated at her decease as under intestacy. In which case, Lord Godalming, though so dear a friend, would have no claim in the world, and the inheritors, being remote, would not be likely to abandon their just rights for sentimental reasons regarding an entire stranger. I assure you, my dear sirs, I am rejoiced at the result, perfectly rejoiced. He was a good fellow, but his rejoicing at the one little part, in which he was officially interested, of so great a tragedy, was an object lesson in the limitations of sympathetic understanding. He did not remain long, but said he would look in later in the day and see Lord Godalming. His coming, however, had been a certain comfort to us, since it assured us that we should not have to dread hostile criticism as to any of our acts. Arthur was expected at 5 o'clock, so a little before that time we visited the death chamber. Pardon me. It was so in very truth, for now both mother and daughter lay in it. The undertaker, true to his craft, had made the best display he could of his goods, and there was a mortuary air about the place that lowered our spirits at once. Van Helsing ordered the former arrangement to be adhered to, explaining that, as Lord Godalming was coming very soon, it would be less harrowing to his feelings to see all that was left of his fiancée quite alone. The undertaker seemed shocked at his own stupidity, and exerted himself to restore things to the condition in which we left them the night before, so that when Arthur came, such shocks to his feelings as we could avoid were saved. It would be less harrowing to his feelings to see all that was left of his fiancée quite alone. Okay, so they wanted the undertaker to put everything back how it was. Okay. Sorry, the writing in this can be a little bit verbose, so I'm like, sometimes I lose what they're getting at. Poor fellow. He looked desperately sad and broken. Even his stalwart manhood seemed to have shrunk somewhat under the strain of his much-tried emotions. He had, I knew, been very genuinely and devotedly attached to his father, and to lose him, and at such a time, was a bitter blow to him. With me he was as warm as ever, and to Van Helsing he was sweetly courteous. But I could not help seeing that there was some constraint with him. The professor noticed it too, and motioned me to bring him upstairs. I did so, and left him at the door of the room, as I felt he would like to be quite alone with her. But he took my arm and led me in, saying huskily, "You loved her too, old fellow." She told me all about it, and there was no friend had a closer place in her heart than you. I don't know how to thank you for all you've done for her. I can't think yet. Here he suddenly broke down, and threw his arms round my shoulders, and laid his head on my breast, crying, "Oh, Jack, Jack, what shall I do? The whole of life seems to have gone from me all at once. There is nothing in the wide world for me to live for." Poor guy lost his fiancée and father in the same week. I comforted him as well as I could. In such cases, men do not need much expression. A grip of the hand, the tightening of an arm over the shoulder, a sob in unison, are expressions of sympathy dear to a man's heart. No, 1897 this was written. I stood still and silent till his sobs died away, and then I softly said to him, "Come and look at her." Together we moved over to the bed, and I lifted the lawn from her face. God, how beautiful she was! Every hour seemed to be enhancing her loveliness. It frightened and amazed me somewhat, and as for Arthur, he fell to trembling, and finally was shaken with doubt, as with an ague. A-G-U-E. Ague. At last, after a long pause, he said to me in a faint whisper, "Jack, is she really dead?" I assured him, sadly, that it was so, and went on to suggest, for I felt that such a horrible doubt should not have life for a moment longer than I could help, that it often happened that after death faces become softened and even resolved into their youthful beauty, that this was especially so when death had been preceded by any acute and prolonged suffering. I seemed to quite do away with any doubt, and after kneeling beside the couch for a while, and looking at her lovingly and long, he turned aside. I told him that he must be goodbye, as the coffin had to be prepared. So he went back and took her dead hand in his and kissed it, and bent over and kissed her forehead. He came away, fondly looking back over his shoulder at her as he came. I left him in the drawing-room, and told Van Helsing that he had said goodbye, so the latter went to the kitchen to tell the undertaker's men to proceed with the preparations, and to screw up the coffin. It's alright, just thinking power tools. Never mind. When he came out of the room again, I told him of Arthur's question, and he replied, I am not surprised. Just now I doubted for a moment myself. We all dined together, and I could see that poor Art was trying to make the best of things. Van Helsing had been silent all dinner time, but when we had lit our cigars, he said, "Lord," but Arthur interrupted him. No, not that, for God's sakes. Not yet, at any rate. Forgive me, sir. I did not mean to speak offensively. It is only because my loss is so recent. The professor answered very sweetly, I only used that name because I was in doubt. I must not call you Mr., and I have grown to love you, yes, my dear boy, to love you as Arthur. Arthur held out his hand and took the old man's warmly. It's because Arthur has inherited his father's estate and title, so Arthur is now Lord Godalming. And the professor didn't know what to call him. Arthur held out his hand and took the old man's warmly. "Call me what you will," he said. "I hope I may always have the title of a friend. And let me say that I am at a loss for words to thank you for the goodness to my poor dear." He paused a moment and went on. "I know that she understood your goodness even better than I do. And if I was rude or in any way wanting at that time you acted so, you remember." The professor nodded. "You must forgive me." He answered with a grave kindness. "I know it was hard for you to quite trust me then, for to trust such violence needs to understand, and I take it that you do not, that you cannot trust me now, for you do not yet understand. And there may be more times when I shall want you to trust when you cannot, and may not, and must not yet understand. But the time will come when your trust shall be whole and complete in me, and when you shall understand as though the sunlight himself shone through. Then you shall bless me from first to last for your own sake, and for the sake of others, and for her dear sake to whom I swore to protect." "And indeed, sir," said Arthur warmly, "I shall in all ways trust you. I know and believe you have a very noble heart, and you are Jack's friend, and you are hers. You shall do what you like." The professor cleared his throat a couple of times as though about to speak, and finally said, "May I ask you something now?" "Certainly." "You know that Mrs. Westenra left you all her property?" "No, poor dear. I never thought of it." "And as it is all yours, you have a right to deal with it as you will. I want you to give me permission to read all Miss Lucy's papers and letters. Believe me, it is no idle curiosity. I have a motive of which, be sure, she would have approved. I have them all here. I took them before we knew that all was yours, so that no strange hand might touch them, no strange eye look through her words into her soul. I shall keep them if I may. Even you may not see them yet, but I shall keep them safe. No word shall be lost, and in good time I shall give them back to you. It is a hard thing that I ask, but you will do it, will you not, for Lucy's sake?" Arthur spoke out heartily, like his old self. "Dr. Van Helsing, you may do what you will. I feel that in saying this I am doing what my dear one would have approved. I shall not trouble you with questions till the time comes." The old professor stood up as he said solemnly, "And you are right. There will be pain for us all, but it will not be all pain, nor will this pain be the last. We, and you too, you most of all, dear boy, will have to pass through the bitter water before we reach the sweet. But we must be brave of heart and unselfish, and do our duty, and all will be well." I slept on a sofa in Arthur's room that night. Van Helsing did not go to bed at all. He went to and fro, as if patrolling the house, and was never out of sight of the room where Lucy lay in her coffin, strewn with wild garlic flowers, which sent through the odour of lily and rose a heavy, overpowering smell into the night. Mina Harker's journal. Okay, so we're back to Mina. Now, Mina and Jonathan were back in England. The only problem with using a Kindle is I can't easily flick back through the pages. But we're up to 22nd of September, which I think was 1, 2, 3, 4 days after Lucy died. So it would have been 2 or 3 days later. Okay. Mina Harker. In the train to Exeter. Jonathan sleeping. It seems only yesterday that the last entry was made, and yet how much between then, in Whitby, and all the world before me. Jonathan away, and no news of him, and now married to Jonathan. Jonathan, a solicitor, a partner, rich, master of his business. Mr. Hawkins, dead and buried, and Jonathan with another attack that may harm him. Ah, that's right. Mr. Hawkins made him a business partner, and then promptly died the next day. Which, had we not known, if we didn't know Jonathan Harker, we would think this suspicious. But we think it's suspicious for other reasons. Some day he may ask me about it. Down it all goes. I am rusty in my shorthand. See what unexpected prosperity does for us. So it may be as well to freshen it up again with an exercise anyhow. The service was very simple and very solemn. There were only ourselves and the servants there, 1 or 2 old friends of his from Exeter, his London agent, and a gentleman representing Sir John Paxton, the president of the Incorporated Law Society. Jonathan and I stood hand in hand, and we felt that our best and dearest friend was gone from us. We came back to town quietly, taking a bus to Hyde Park Corner. Jonathan thought it would interest me to go into the Row for a while, so we sat down. But there were very few people there, and it was a sad-looking and desolate to see so many empty chairs. It made us think of the empty chair at home. So we got up and walked down Piccadilly. Jonathan was holding me by the arm, the way he used to do in the old days before I went to school. I felt it very improper, for you can't go on for some years teaching etiquette and decorum to other girls without the pedantry of it biting into yourself a bit. But it was Jonathan, and he was my husband, and we didn't know anybody who saw us, and we didn't care if they did. So on we walked. Hey, what? She couldn't hold his arm? Well, Jonathan was holding her by the arm. Geez, those were weird days. Victorian era. Oh no. Look out. Someone's holding someone else by the arm. I was looking at a very beautiful girl in a big cartwheel hat, sitting in a Victoria outside Giuliano's, when I felt Jonathan clutch my arm so tight that he hurt me, and he said under his breath, "My God." I'm always anxious about Jonathan, for I fear that some nervous fit may upset him again. So I turned to him quickly and asked him what it was that disturbed him. Is it because he was taking her arm, or something like that? He was very pale, and his eyes seemed bulging out, half in terror and half in amazement. He gazed at a tall, thin man, with a beaky nose and black moustache and pointed beard, who was also observing the pretty girl. He was looking at her so hard that he did not see either of us, and so I had a good view of him. His face was not a good face. It was hard and cruel and sensual, and big white teeth that looked all the whiter because his lips were so red, were pointed like an animal's. Oh, snap. Guess who that is? Jonathan kept staring at him till I was afraid he would notice. I feared he might take it ill. He looked so fierce and nasty. I asked Jonathan why he was disturbed, and he answered, evidently thinking that I knew as much about it as he did. "Do you see who it is?" "No, dear," I said. "I don't know him. Who is it?" His answer seemed to shock and thrill me, for it was said as if he did not know that it was me, Mina, to whom he was speaking. "It is the man himself." The poor dear was evidently terrified at something, very greatly terrified. I do believe that if he had not had me to lean on and support him, he would have sunk down. He kept staring. A man came out of a shop with a small parcel and gave it to the lady, who then drove off. The dark man kept his eyes fixed on her, and when the carriage moved up Piccadilly, he followed in the same direction and hailed a hansom. Jonathan kept looking after him and said, as if to himself, "I believe it is the Count, but he has grown young. My God, if this be so. Oh my God, oh my God, if only I knew, if only I knew." He was distressing himself so much that I feared to keep his mind on the subject by asking him any questions, so I remained silent. I drew away quietly, and he, holding my arm, came easily. We walked a little further and then went in and sat for a while in the Green Park. It was a hot day for autumn, and there was a comfortable seat in a shady place. After a few minutes, staring at nothing, Jonathan's eyes closed, and he went quickly into a sleep, with his head on my shoulder. I thought it was the best thing for him, so did not disturb him. In about 20 minutes he woke up, and said to me quite cheerfully, "Why, Mina, have I been asleep? Oh, do forgive me for being so rude. Come, and we'll have a cup of tea somewhere." He had evidently forgotten all about the dark stranger, as in his illness he had forgotten all that this episode had reminded him of. I don't like this lapsing into forgetfulness. It may make or continue some injury to the brain. I must not ask him, for fear I shall do more harm than good, but I must somehow learn the facts of his journey abroad. The time is come, I fear, when I must open the parcel and know what is written. Oh, Jonathan, you will, I know, forgive me if I do wrong, but it is for your own dear sake. She's referring to Jonathan Harker's journal that he wrote when he first went to Castle Dracula, which he's forgotten all about. except for just now when he saw Dracula. Yes, so continued. Later, dash. A sad homecoming in every way, the house empty of the dear soul who was so good to us. Jonathan still pale and dizzy under a slight relapse of his malady, and now a telegram from Van Helsing, whoever he may be. You will be grieved to hear that Mrs. Westenra died 5 days ago, and that Lucy died the day before yesterday. Stop. They were both buried today. Stop. Damn, that's a harsh telegram. Oh, what a wealth of sorrow in a few words. Poor Mrs. Westenra. Poor Lucy. Gone. Gone. Never to return to us. And poor Arthur, to have lost such a sweetness out of his life. God help us all to bear our troubles. And now Dr. Seward's diary continued. So I'm wondering if all of these deaths of all of the elderly people in the characters' lives. So we've got Lord Godalming Sr. died. Lucy's mother died. Although we know how Lucy's mother died. And also Mr. Hawkins died. And I'm wondering if there's any connection between the sudden deaths of these three seniors. Because Mr. Hawkins was Dracula's solicitor in London. And, well, we know how Mrs. Westenra died. She died of fright when Dracula entered Lucy's room as a giant wolf. And, we don't know how Lord Godalming died, but he was on the way out anyway, I think. But yes, all very sudden. How are we doing for time? Bang on 1 hour. Dr. Seward's diary continued. 22nd of September. Okay, same day as Mina's entry. It is all over. Arthur has gone back to Ring and has taken Quincy Morris with him. Quincy Morris, that was the American bloke. What a fine fellow is Quincy. I believe in my heart of hearts that he suffered as much about Lucy's death as any of us, but he bore himself through it like a moral Viking. If America can go on breeding men like that, she will be a power in the world indeed. (1897) This was written, chat. Van Helsing is lying down, having a rest preparatory to his journey. He goes to Amsterdam tonight, but says he returns tomorrow night, that he only wants to make some arrangements, which can only be made personally. He is to stop with me, then, if he can. He says he has work to do in London, which may take him some time. Poor old fellow. I fear that the strain of the past week has broken down even his iron strength. All the time of the burial he was, I could see, putting some terrible restraint on himself. When it was all over, we were standing beside Arthur, who, poor fellow, was speaking of his part in the operation, where his blood had been transfused to Lucy's veins. I could see Van Helsing's face grow white and purple by turns. Arthur was saying that he felt since then as if they too had been really married, and that she was his wife in the sight of God. None of us said a word of the other operations, and none of us ever shall. Arthur and Quincy went away together to the station, and Van Helsing and I came on here. The moment we were alone in the carriage, he gave way to a regular fit of hysterics. He has denied to me since that it was hysterics, and insisted that it was only his sense of humour asserting itself under very terrible conditions. He laughed till he cried, and I had to draw down the blinds lest anyone should see us and misjudge. And then he cried till he laughed again, and laughed and cried together, just as a woman does. Oh my God. Bram Stoker, please. I tried to be stern with him, as one is to a woman under the circumstances. But it had no effect. Men and women are so different in manifestations of nervous strength or weakness. 1897. Then when his face grew grave and stern again, I asked him why his mirth, and why at such a time. His reply was in a way characteristic of him, for it was logical and forceful, and mysterious. He said, "Ah, you don't comprehend, friend John. Do not think that I am not sad, though I laugh. See, I have cried even when the laugh did choke me. But no more think that I am all sorry when I cry, for the laugh, he come just the same. Keep it always with you, that laughter, who knock at your door and say, 'May I come in?' is not true laughter. No, he is a king, and he come when and how he like. He ask no person, he choose no time of suitability. He say, 'I am here.' Behold, in example I grieve my heart out for that so sweet young girl. I give my blood for her, though I am old and worn. I give my time, my skill, my sleep. I let my others sufferers want that she may have all. And yet I can laugh at her very grave, laugh when the clay from the spade of the sexton drop upon her coffin, and say, thud, thud to my heart, till it send back the blood from my cheek. My heart bleed for that poor boy, that dear boy, so of the age of mine own boy had I been so blessed that he live, and with his hair and eyes the same. There, you know now why I love him so. And yet when he say things that touch my husband heart to the quick, and make my father heart yearn to him as to no other man, not even you, friend John, for we are more level in experiences than father and son. Yet even at such a moment, King laugh, he come to me and shout and bellow in my ear, here I am, till the blood come dance back and bring some of the sunshine that he carry with him to my cheek. Oh, friend John, it is a strange world, a sad world, a world full of miseries and woes and troubles. And yet, when King Laugh come, he make them all dance to the tune he play. Bleeding hearts and dry bones of the churchyard, and tears that burn as they fall, all dance together to the music that he make with that smileless mouth of him. Thank you for following, friendo. And believe me, friend John, that he is good to come, and kind. Ah, we men and women are like ropes drawn tight with the strain that pulls us different ways. I lick my paws. Oh, froggy emote. But King Laugh he come like the sunshine, and he ease off the strain again, and we bear to go on with our labour, what it may be. I did not like to wound him by pretending not to see his idea, but as I did not yet understand the cause of his laughter, I asked him. As he answered me, his face grew stern, and he said in a quite different tone, "Oh, it was the grim irony of it all. This so lovely lady, garlanded with flowers, that looked so fair as life, till one by one we wondered if she were truly dead. She laid in that so fine marble house, in that lonely churchyard, where rest so many of her kin, laid there with her mother who loved her, and whom she loved, and that sacred bell going toll, 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 so sad and slow, and those holy men with their white garments of the angel, pretending to read books, and yet all the time their eyes never on the page, and all of us with the bowed head. And all for what? She is dead, so, is it not?" "Well, for the life of me, Professor," I said, "I can't see anything to laugh at all in that. Why, your expression makes it a harder puzzle than before. But even if the burial service was comic, what about poor Art and his trouble? Why, his heart was simply breaking." "Just so. Said he not that the transfusion of his blood to her veins had made her truly his bride?" "Yes, and it was a sweet and comforting idea for him." "Quite so. But there was a difficulty, friend John. If so that, then what about the others? Ho ho, then this so sweet maid is a polyandrist, and me with my poor wife dead to me, but alive by church's law, though no wits, all gone, even I, who am faithful husband to this now no wife, am bigamist." "I don't see where the jokes comes in there either," I said, and I did not feel particularly pleased with him for saying such things. He laid his hand on my arm and said, "Oh, friend John, forgive me if I pain. I showed not my feelings to the others when it would wound, but only to you, my old friend, whom I can trust. If you could have looked into my heart then when I want to laugh, if you could have done so when the laugh arrived, if you could do so now, when King Laugh have pack up his crown and all that is to him, for he go far, far away from me, and for a long, long time, maybe you would perhaps pity me the most of all." I was touched by the tenderness of his tone, and asked why. "Because I know." And now we are all scattered, and for many a long day loneliness will sit over our roofs with brooding wings. Lucy lies in the tomb of her kin, a lordly death house in a lonely churchyard, away from teeming London, where the air is fresh and the sun rises over Hampstead Hill, and where wild flowers grow of their own accord. So I can finish this diary, and God only knows if I shall ever begin another. If I do, or if I ever open this again, it will be to deal with different people and different themes, for here at the end, where the romance of my life is told, ere I go back to take up the thread of my life work. And I say sadly and without hope, finis. Okay, so now we have a newspaper entry. I love the randomness of just like inserting newspaper entries and, columnist entries just into the book. The Westminster Gazette, 25th of September. A Hampstead Mystery. So this is 3 days later, I think. 2 or 3 days. The neighbourhood of Hampstead is just at present exercised with a series of events, which seem to run on lines parallel to those of what was known to the writers of headlines as the Kensington Horror, or the Stabbing Woman, or the Woman in Black. During the past 2 or 3 days, several cases have occurred of young children straying from their home or neglecting to return from their playing on the heath. In all these cases, the children were too young to give any properly intelligible account of themselves, but the consensus of their excuses is that they had been with a bloofer lady, in quotes, bloofer lady. It has always been late in the evening when they have been missed, and on 2 occasions the children have not been found until early in the following morning. It is generally supposed in the neighbourhood that, as the first child missed gave as his reason for being away that a bloofer lady had asked him to come for a walk, the others had picked up the phrase and used it as occasion served. This is more natural, as the favourite game of the little ones at present is luring each other away by wiles. A correspondent writes us that to see some of the tiny tots pretending to be the bloofer lady is supremely funny. Some of our caricaturists might, he says, take a lesson in the irony of grotesque by comparing the reality and the picture. It is only in accordance with general principles of human nature that the bloofer lady should be the popular role at these alfresco performances. Our correspondent naively says that even Ellen Terry, I have no idea who that is, could not be so winningly attractive as some of these grubby-faced little children pretend, and even imagine themselves to be. There is, however, possibly a serious side to that question, for some of the children, indeed all who have been missed at night, have been slightly torn or wounded in the throat. The wounds seem such as might be made by a rat or a small dog, and although of not much importance individually, would tend to show that whatever animal inflicts them has a system or method of its own. The police of the division have been instructed to keep a sharp lookout for straying children, especially when very young, in and around Hampstead Heath, and for any stray dog which may be about. Okay. The Westminster Gazette, 25th of September, extra special. So, same day. The Hampstead Horror, Another child injured. The Bloofer Lady. We have just received intelligence that another child, missed last night, was only discovered late in the morning under a furze bush at the Shooter's Hill side of Hampstead Heath, which is perhaps less frequented than other parts. It has the same tiny wound in the throat as has been noticed in other cases. It was terribly weak and looked quite emaciated. It too, when partially restored, had the common story to tell of being lured away by the Bloofer Lady. End of chapter 13. Uh-oh. Okay, so we're up to chapter 14. Mina Harker's Journal, 23rd of September. Hello, Forrest. Hello, witches and dragons. Forrest, have you been watching Agatha? What was it called? What was the show called again? Agatha All Along, that was it. I've been watching Agatha all along. I didn't think I'd be into it, but I am. Because I didn't really watch WandaVision, so I thought I probably won't know what's going on, but I picked it up. Yeah, I've been quite enjoying it. It's good. I've watched a lot of the Marvel movies, so I know roughly what's going on, and I think I just kind of I started watching WandaVision and then I just kind of petered out and then went and spoiled the ending for myself because I just couldn't be bothered. But yes, I'm enjoying it. Ad quote, I didn't think I'd be into it, but I am. Salty. Yeah. Brass. Quotes must be enabled and at least one quote must be added for this feature to work. Okay, I swore I enabled quotes, but I guess not. Be shut. I did now watch both Doctor Strange's and now long YouTube video of WandaVision. Ah, very good. Yeah, I should probably watch the summary of WandaVision. I watched like the end bit. But yeah, and I watched the latest Doctor Strange movie. That was the one with Scarlet Witch, wasn't it? Yeah. Episode 7 was absolutely amazing. I agree. It absolutely was. No spoilers. No spoilers. So yes. So we just read about the quote-unquote Bloofer Lady who was luring children away and evidently drinking their blood. Gee, I wonder what's going on there. Right after Lucy Westenra's burial. Then again, it might not be. You never know. So, chapter 14. Mina Harker's Journal. 23rd of September. Jonathan is better after a bad night. I am so glad that he has plenty of work to do, for for that keeps his mind off the terrible things. And, oh, I am rejoiced that he is not now weighed down with the responsibility of his new position. I knew he would be true to himself, and now how proud I am to see my Jonathan rising to the height of his advancement, and keeping pace in all the ways with the duties that come upon him. Yes, I'm trying out the Yoshis. That's what I wanted to point out. Now, those Yoshis are the ones I added from the workshop. Notice how blurry they are. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add my own Yoshis, which are pixel perfect. Because all the other characters are ones, except for the Kirby, obviously. All the other characters are ones that I added directly from the sprite sheets. So I'm going to redo the sprite sheets with the sprites from the sprite sheet from the game, instead of the weird blurry ones. But yeah, enjoy. I will do the same colours, so you won't have to make adjustments or anything. Or maybe I'll do the Yoshi colours from Yoshi's Island. Anyway. I knew he would be true to himself, and now how proud I am to see my Jonathan rising to the height of his advancement and keeping pace in all ways with the duties that come upon him. He will be away all day till late, for he said he could not lunch at home. My household work is done, so I shall take his foreign journal and lock myself up in a room and read it. Must be nice to be able to just pop home for work, pop home for lunch. Because back in those days, you just lived very close to where you worked. Because it was affordable. "24th of September, following day. I hadn't the heart to write last night. That terrible record of Jonathan's upset me so. Poor dear, how he must have suffered, whether it be true or only imagination. I wonder if there is any truth in it at all. Did he get his brain fever and then write all those terrible things, or had he some cause for it all? I suppose I shall never know, for I dare not open the subject to him. And yet, that man we saw yesterday, he seemed quite certain of him, poor fellow. I suppose it was the funeral upset him and sent his mind back on some train of thought. He believes it all himself. I remember how on our wedding day he said, 'Unless some solemn duty come upon me to go back to the bitter hours, asleep or awake, mad or sane, ... There seems to be through it all some thread of continuity. That fearful Count was coming to London. If it should be, and he came to London with its teeming millions, ... There may be a solemn duty, and if it come, we must not shrink from it. I shall be prepared. I shall get my typewriter this very hour and begin transcribing. Frickin' noisy. Then we shall be ready for other eyes if required. And if it be wanted, then perhaps, if I am ready, poor Jonathan may not be upset, for I can speak for him and never let him be troubled or worried with it all. If ever Jonathan quite gets over the nervousness, he may want to tell me of it all, and I can ask him questions and find out things, and see how I may comfort him. Letter. Van Helsing to Mrs. Harker, 24th of September, in brackets, confidence, close bracket. Dear Madam, I pray you to pardon my writing, in that I am so far friend as that I sent to you sad news of Miss Lucy Westenra's death. By the kindness of Lord Godalming, I am empowered to read her letters and papers, for I am deeply concerned about certain matters vitally important. In them I find some letters from you, which show how great friends you were, and how you love her. Oh, Madam Mina, by that love I implore you, help me. It is for others' good that I ask, to redress great wrong, and to lift much and terrible troubles that may be more great than you can know. May it be that I see you. You can trust me. I am friend of Dr. John Seward and of Lord Godalming. Brackets. That was Arthur of Miss Lucy. Close bracket. I must keep it private for the present from all. I should come to Exeter to see you at once, if you tell me I am privileged to come, and where and when. I implore your pardon, madam. I have read your letters to poor Lucy, and know how good you are, and how your husband suffer. So I pray you, if it may be, enlighten him not, lest it may harm. Again your pardon, and forgive me. Van Helsing. Telegram. Mrs. Harker to Van Helsing. 25th of September. Come today by 10:15 train if you catch it. Stop. Can see you any time you call. Stop. Wilhelmina Harker. I'm adding stop to the telegram because that's actually how they did telegrams in those days. I'm not sure, Bram Stoker. Or maybe the English did telegrams differently, but all the ones I've ever seen didn't have any punctuation except for the word stop. Because it was less expensive. Mina Harker's journal. 25th of September. I cannot help feeling terribly excited as the time draws near for the visit of Dr. Van Helsing, for somehow I expect that it will throw some light upon Jonathan's sad experience, and as he attended poor dear Lucy in her last illness, he can tell me all about her. That is the reason of his coming. It is concerning Lucy and her sleepwalking, and not about Jonathan. Then I shall never know the real truth now. How silly I am. That awful journal gets hold of my imagination and tinges everything with something of its own colour. Of course it is about Lucy. That habit came back to the poor dear, and that awful night on the cliff must have made her ill. I had almost forgotten in my own affairs how ill she was afterwards. She must have told him of her sleepwalking adventure on the cliff, and that I knew all about it, and now he wants me to tell him what I know, so that he may understand. Thank you for following me while I do dodgy Mina Harker voice. Bless you. I hope I did the right thing in not saying anything of it to Mrs. Westenra. should never forgive myself if any act of mine, were it even a negative one, brought harm on poor dear Lucy. I hope, too, Dr. Van Helsing will not blame me. I've had so much trouble and anxiety of late that I feel I cannot bear more just at present. I suppose a cry does us all good at times, clears the air as other rain does. Perhaps it was reading the journal yesterday that upset me. And then Jonathan went away this morning to stay away from me a whole day and night. The first time we have been parted since our marriage. I do hope the dear fellow will take care of himself, and that nothing will occur to upset him. It is 2:00, and the doctor will be here soon now. I shall say nothing of Jonathan's journal unless he asks me. I'm so glad I have typewritten out my own journal, so that, in case he asks about Lucy, I can hand it to him. It will save much questioning. Later. He has come and gone. Oh, what a strange meeting, and how it all makes my head whirl round. I feel like one in a dream. Can it be all possible, or even a part of it? If I had not read Jonathan's journal first, I should never have accepted even a possibility. Poor dear Jonathan. How he must have suffered. Please the good God, all this may not upset him again. I shall try to save him from it, but it may be even a consolation and a help to him, terrible though it be, and awful in its consequences, to know for certain that his eyes and ears and brain did not deceive him, and that it is all true. It may be that it is the doubt which haunts him, that when the doubt is removed, no matter which, waking or dreaming, may prove the truth, he will be more satisfied and better able to bear the shock. Dr. Van Helsing must be a good man as well as a clever one if he is Arthur's friend and Dr. Seward's, and if they brought him all the way from Holland to look after Lucy. I feel from having seen him that he is good and kind and of a noble nature. When he comes tomorrow, I shall ask him about Jonathan. And then, please God, all this sorrow and anxiety may lead to a good end. I used to think I would like to practice interviewing. Jonathan's friend on the Exeter News told him that memory is everything in such work, that you must be able to put down exactly almost every word spoken, even if you had to refine some of it afterwards. Here was a rare interview. I shall try to record it verbatim. It was 2:30 when the knock came. I took my courage, adieu, Mains, and waited. Damn French. In a few minutes, Mary opened the door and announced Dr. Van Helsing. I rose and bowed, and he came towards me, a man of medium weight, strongly built, with his shoulders set back over a broad, deep chest, and a neck well balanced on the trunk as the head is on the neck. The poise of the head strikes me at once as indicative of thought and power. The head is noble, well-sized, broad, and large behind the ears. The face, clean-shaven, shows a hard, square chin, a large, resolute, mobile mouth, a good-sized nose, rather straight but with quick, sensitive nostrils, that seemed My, but she goes on. That seemed to broaden as the big bushy brows come down and the mouth tightens. The forehead is broad and fine, rising at first almost straight, and then sloping back above, 2 bumps or ridges wide apart. Such a forehead that the reddish hair cannot possibly tumble over it, but falls naturally back and to the sides. Big, dark blue eyes are set widely apart, and are quick and tender, or stern with the man's moods. For any aspiring authors, about half of that would have done, maximum. 1897. He said to me, "Mrs. Harker, is it not?" I bowed assent. "That was Miss Mina Murray?" Again I assented. "It is Mina Murray that I came to see, that was friend of that poor dear child, Lucy Westenra." "Madam Mina, it is on account of the dead that I come." "Sir," I said, "you could have no better claim on me than that you were a friend and helper of Lucy Westenra." And I held out my hand. He took it and said tenderly, "Oh, Madam Mina, I know that the friend of that poor little girl must be good, but I had yet to learn... ... He finished his speech with a courtly bow. I asked him what it was that he wanted to see me about, so he at once began. "I have read your letters to Miss Lucy. Forgive me, but I had to begin to inquire somewhere, and there was no one to ask. I know that you were with her at Whitby. She sometimes kept a diary. You need not look surprised, Madam Mina. It was begun after you had left, and was an imitation of you, and in that diary she traces by inference certain things to a sleepwalking, in which she puts down that you saved her. In great perplexity, then, I come to you, and ask you, out of your so much kindness, to tell me all of it that you can remember." "I can tell you, I think, Dr. Van Helsing, all about it." "Ah, then you have good memory for facts, for details? It is not always so with young ladies." "No, doctor, but I wrote it all down at the time. I can show it to you if you like." "Oh, Madam Mina, I will be grateful. You will do me much favour." I could not resist the temptation of mystifying him a bit. I suppose it is some taste of the original apple that remains still in our mouths, so I handed him the shorthand diary. He took it with a grateful bow and said, "May I read it?" "If you wish," I answered as demurely as I could. Demurely. He opened it, and for an instant his face fell. Then he stood up and bowed. "Oh, you so clever woman," he said. "I knew long that Mr. Jonathan was a man of much thankfulness. But see, his wife have all the good things. And will you not so much honour me, and so help me as to read it for me? Alas, I know not the shorthand." By this time my little joke was over, and I was almost ashamed. So I took the typewritten copy from my work basket and handed it to him. "Forgive me," I said. "I could not help it, but I had been thinking that it was of dear Lucy that you wished to ask, and so that you might not have time to wait, not on my account, but because I know your time must be precious. I have written it out on the typewriter for you." He took it, and his eyes glistened. "You are so good," he said. "And may I read it now? I may want to ask you some things when I have read." "By all means," I said. "Read it over whilst I order lunch, and then you can ask me questions whilst we eat." He bowed and settled himself in a chair with his back to the light, and became so absorbed in the papers, whilst I went to see after lunch, chiefly in order that he might not be disturbed. When I came back, I found him walking hurriedly up and down the room, his face all ablaze with excitement. He rushed up to me and took me by both hands. "Oh, Madam Mina," he said, "how can I say what I owe to you? This paper is as sunshine. It opens the gate to me. I am dazed, I am dazzled with so much light, and yet clouds roll in behind the light every time, but that you cannot comprehend. Oh, but I am grateful to you, you so clever woman, Madame." He said this very solemnly. "If ever Abraham Van Helsing can do anything for you or yours, I trust you will let me know. It will be a pleasure and delight if I may serve you as a friend. But all I have ever learned, all I can ever do, shall be for you and those you love. There are darknesses in life, and there are lights. You are one of the lights. You will have a happy life, and a good life, and your husband will be blessed in you." "But, doctor, you praise me too much, and you do not know me." "Not know you? I, who am old, and who have studied all my life men and women. I, who have made my speciality the brain and all that belong to him, and all that follow from him. And I have read your diary that you have so goodly written for me, and which breathes out truth in every line. I, who have read your so sweet letter to poor Lucy of your marriage and your trust, not know you? Oh, Madam Mina, good women tell all their lives, and by day and by hour and by minute, such things that angels can read. And we men who wish to know have in us something of angels' eyes. Your husband is noble nature, and you are noble too, for you trust, and trust cannot be where there is mean nature. And your husband, tell me of him. Is he quite well? Is all that fever gone? And is he strong and hearty? I saw here an opening to ask him about Jonathan. So I said, he was almost recovered, but he has been greatly upset by Mr. Hawkins's death. He interrupted. Oh, yes, I know. I have read your last 2 letters. I went on. I suppose this upset him, for when we were in town on Thursday last, he had a sort of shock. A shock? And after brain fever so soon? That is not good. What kind of shock was it? He thought he saw someone who recalled something terrible, something which led to his brain fever. And here the whole thing seemed to overwhelm me in a rush. the pity for Jonathan, the horror which he experienced, the whole fearful mystery of his diary, and the fear that has been brooding over me since, all came in a tumult. I suppose I was hysterical, for I threw myself on my knees and held up my hands to him and implored him to make my husband well again. He took my hands and raised me up and made me sit on the sofa and sat by me. He held my hand in his and said to me with, oh, such infinite sweetness, "My life is a barren and lonely one, and so full of work that I have not had much time for friendships. But since I have been summoned to here by my friend John Seward, I have known so many good people and seen such nobility that I feel more than ever, and it has grown with my advancing years, the loneliness of my life. Believe me, then, that I come here full of respect for you, and you have given me hope. Hope, not in what I am seeking of, but that there are good women still left to make life happy. Good women, whose lives and whose truths may make good lesson for the children that are to be. I am glad that I may be here, that I may here be of some use to you. For if your husband suffer, he suffer within the range of my study and experience. I promise you that I will gladly do all for him that I can, all to make his life strong and manly, and your life a happy one. Now you must eat. You are overwrought, and perhaps over-anxious. Husband Jonathan would not like to see you so pale, and what he like not where he love is not to his good. Therefore for his sake you must eat and smile. You have told me about Lucy, and so now we shall not speak of it, lest it distress. Hello, Kid Monster, welcome in. Van Helsing is currently visiting Mina Harker and talking about Lucy and Jonathan. I shall stay in Exeter tonight, for I want to think much over what you have told me, and when I have thought, I will ask you questions. I will ask you questions, if I may, and then, too, you will tell me of husband Jonathan's trouble, so far as you can, but not yet. You must eat now. Afterwards you shall tell me all. After lunch, when we went back to the drawing-room, he said to me, "And now tell me all about him." When it came to speaking to this great learned man, I began to fear that he would think me a weak fool, and Jonathan a madman. That journal is all so strange, and I hesitated to go on. But he was so sweet and kind, and he had promised to help, and I trusted him, so I said, "Dr. Van Helsing, what I have to tell you is so queer that you must not laugh at me, or at my husband. I have been since yesterday in a sort of fever of doubt. You must be kind to me, and not think me foolish that I have even half believed some very strange things." He reassured me by his manner as well as his words when he said, "Oh, my dear, if you only know how strange is the matter regarding which I am here, it is you who would laugh. I have learned not to think little of anyone's belief, no matter how strange it may be. I have tried to keep an open mind, and it is not the ordinary things of life that could close it, but the strange things, the extraordinary things, the things that make one doubt if they be mad or sane. Thank you 1,000 times. You have taken a weight off my mind. If you will let me, I shall give you a paper to read. It is long, but I have typewritten it out. It will tell you my trouble and Jonathan's. It is the copy of his journal when abroad, and all that happened. I dare not say anything of it. You will read for yourself and judge. And then, when I see you, perhaps, you will be very kind and tell me what you think? I promise, he said as I gave him the papers. I shall in the morning, as soon as I can, come to see you, and your husband, if I may. Jonathan will be here at 11:30, and you must come to lunch with us and see him then. You could catch the quick 3:34 train, which will leave you at Paddington before 8. He was surprised at my knowledge of the trains offhand. She's into trains. But he does not know that I have made up all the trains to and from Exeter, so that I may help Jonathan in case he is in a hurry. So he took the papers with him and went away. And I sit here thinking, I don't know what. That orange glow. I don't actually know what the reference is. Must have missed that one. But yes, she's a little bit into trains. And I'm sitting on the cushion. I hope my Mina accent is okay. I was debating at the start of the book whether to do a lady accent. I'll send you the story in DMs. It's a little long. Wow, okay, cool. Always up for a good story. I'm going to leave the reading there, chat. But the next stream is continuing on with chapter... Oh, thank you for pets. The next stream will be continuing on with the chapter when there are letters between Van Helsing and Mina. So I don't know how the accents are going down. Are they good? Are they bad? I don't want to watch my own stream back. I don't want to cringe. I'll probably get better at doing it over time, but I can't do a Dutch accent. So I'm just doing... I figured out whether the accent that I'm doing, the accent for Van Helsing is the Incredible Nightcrawler from the X-Men movies. I think it was the second X-Men movie. Kurt Wagner, the Incredible Nightcrawler. All of my accents come from movie and TV show characters. You hate hearing your own voice? I like your voice, Aska. Sounds a bit like Christoph Waltz. Ooh, interesting. Because it sounds different in my head, obviously. So I think I sound like Kurt Wagner, but apparently I sound like Christoph Waltz, which is not it's a pretty good compliment, actually. Oh, yeah. What was the movie? The Quentin Tarantino movie. The one where she has a movie theatre. Yeah, you know the one. The one where Christoph Waltz became Inglourious Bastards. I think that was it. Yeah. I'll tell you something weird, chat. The what was the following movie? I think it was Hateful Eight. Ah, yes, it was the Hateful Eight. The Hateful Eight, despite being Quentin Tarantino and, you know, full of all the Quentin Tarantino stuff, it's actually kind of a comfort movie because they're all like snowed in like a cabin. And also I love Walton Goggins' voice is a very nice voice. I should have practiced Walton Goggins and done the American guy as Walton Goggins. If you look him up, he has a very iconic face and a very iconic voice. So let's have a look. Ari is live. Also, yesterday I raided into a kitten stream. Just like, oh my god, the kittens. Actually, they're streaming again. Oh, kittens. Do I raid Ari or do I raid kittens? That's a tough call, chat. That's a very tough call. Chronico's also on. Chronico's doing, like, kittens. Chronico's doing ASMR. What I'll do for the lurkers, it's such a warm, cozy stream. It is a warm, cozy stream. I'm debating between Chronico, who is doing 3DO whispering, or the kittens. I might raid back into the kittens. I'm gonna explode. It's cute. Calm down. I'm gonna shout out my friend first before we move on. Pixie Pizzazz, who is
Glory to you and your house.
I am going to have to fix that. No need for raid messages. No, we can just raid in. Pixie's streaming on Sunday, and she is reading. She's reading Halloween stories at the moment, but please give her a follow if you like a Canadian reading streams. Love Pixie Pizzazz, yeah. I want to shout out so many people, but I'm limiting myself to one per stream because it's kind of like if you get a random shout out from like a random person, even though Pixie knows me, but I'm just like, I don't want to randomly shout out people. Like, cause I did shout out Falcor the Book Dragon yesterday. I was just thinking, oh, Falcor's going to be like, why is Salty shouting me out? Like, who's Salty? She laughed when I called her Pixie Pizza. I remember that. That was a while ago. That's funny. Pixie should totally have a pizza shop called Pixie Pizza. Oh my god, that's such... Actually, no. Pizzas... Making pizzas are a tough gig. Unless you're that guy I read about in America. He opened like a pizza shop that does like special gourmet pizzas. But he only has the shop open for like 4 hours a day during lunch. And then he shuts the shop. Everyone's like, why don't you stay open at night, at dinner time? Why don't you stay open longer? He's like, I don't want to. He makes enough money. Why not, honestly? If you like them and want to share their content, I think screw them wondering why did they shout me out. It's just, I suppose, I'd be wondering. Anyway. /raid. Mountain _ settler. Oh my goodness. I have to get the glasses. I have to clean the glasses. Okay, chat. We're raiding into Mountain Settler. You don't need to do your raid command or anything like that. Just join the raid. Okay, raid's been created. Please join the raid. Because you'll be rewarded with kittens if you do. Gonna shout you on my channel whenever I raid next, just to make you think, what the hell do you want to shout me out? I'm pretty sure I know why you shouted me out, but it's more like random people. See, for example, Falcor doesn't really know me. Like if I got shouted out on some random person's channel, I'd be like, where do they know me from? Why are they shouting me out? Is it a good shout out or is it a bad shout out? Anyway, no, people in ASMR are really nice. I very much like the community. So yeah, always good. Aska, thank you for being here. Thank you for being here, everyone. I very much appreciate you listening to me. And I will see you, not tomorrow, because tomorrow's Ari stream, but next Tuesday and Wednesday for reading is when I read. So we'll read into Mountain Settler, and I'll also be in Ari's chat as well. Yeah, see me next week. Yeah. Okay, everyone. Bye for now. Bye. Oh, and I'll do those Yoshis.